What's up, Fantasy Freaks? It's Rob, the NRL Fantasy Freak, back with my Round 12 Experts Review video. I'm so far behind schedule creating my videos, but I'm sure I'll get into a routine now that I have a layout that I like. The purpose of this series is to give you valuable information on what the experts have done collectively in the hope that it'll help us with the rest of the season, but more importantly, for next season, as I'll be able to look back on these videos and see if I can identify any key trends. With that said, let's get into it. First up, it's the captaincy. Learning from the experts on how they pick their captains will be crucial for the rest of the season. In the last episode, we saw that May was the captaincy of choice, with the highest season average. And the same theme came through in round 12. Clark, with 45% of the captaincy choice, makes sense as he has the highest average for the season at 62. The other key piece of information was that Barnett and Fish were out, which would likely lead to an increased role for Clark. And with his great PPM, any extra minutes would give him significant upside. The numbers show that it was a close call between Clark and Tapine, which is reflected in Tapine getting the C by 25% of the experts. The one that sticks out as odd is the Hines pick. His 2025 average of 55 is lower than the other three, and his last three average of 55 was 10 points lower than the other three. Needless to say, that pick was a dud. Farnworth was the other option, and if it wasn't for the wet weather, I think he would have been an even better option. Next up, it's trade activity. For round 12, 65% of the experts saved at least one trade. Learning when to save trades is crucial to make it to the end of the season so you can make significant ranks when everyone runs out. There was quite a range of trade activity in round 12, with 10% making no trades, 20% making one trade, 35% making two trades, and 35% making three trades. This range of activity is reflected in the season total of trades used as well, with the lowest being 17 trades used and the most 26. Most of the experts are sitting between 21 and 24 trades used. So who did the experts bring in? Here I'll discuss the top 10 trade-ins for round 12. But first let's look at the trends. The experts were looking to bring in wing fullback cover for the major buys rounds 15 and 18, with Garrick, Teddy and Turbo. A couple of value guns piqued the interest of some experts, with Turbo and Burton. There was some valuable cover for the buys identified in Tavanga and Henry. And finally, the guns were out, with ICAT, AFB, Clark and Farnworth on the shopping list. Let's have a look at their numbers to get a better understanding of why these players were brought in. First up, Garrick was the most brought in. His dual position had 5 points of value and is great for covering the origin period. Teddy had the best form with a last three average of 60, which is very nice to have in a difficult wing fullback position. Turbo had massive value based on his 2024 form with an expected average of 54 and priced at 30, but he's out at the moment so we can wait until he's back. He'll be a great pickup for the run home. Burton has also had some injury affected games, lowering his price. With an expected average of 54 and priced at 41, he has some nice value. He's not on my shopping list as I have too many halves. Tavanga had 3 trade-ins. If he gets 60 minutes, he'll average 44 and have 7 points of value. He covers the hooker role for 15 and 18 as well. Remember, I'm basing these numbers off the information the coaches would have had before they made the decision. Tavanga is 543k now and he has just been named on the bench, so he is far less appealing. He had upside too with Gerbo out, and that is something you should always be looking for. ICAT is a top 3 half in great form with a last 3 average of 67. If you needed a gun half, he was a great option. AFB had 7 points of value based on a 59-minute roll. He has big scores in him that propel you up the ranks. With Hazelton out, he has more role security in my opinion. Clark is the best hooker in the game. Simon was late to the party. Last 3 average of 67 made him a must-have. The same goes for Farnworth, with a last 3 average of 64. Top centre in the game. When you're gunning up, you want the best, and these two have proven they are the best. Finally, Liam Henry enticed 2 unlucky coaches. He had some upside during the Origin period, but with him getting sin-binned and then getting suspended for 2 matches, he quickly became a liability. So who did the experts trade out? The 3 major trends were injured, Egan out for the season, Thompson out till round 13, White out till 15, and Carraz out till 16. Origin players with Toya, Ponga, Cleary and Haas and Mitchell all being named. And finally, a peaked asset in Hubner. So with 15 outs for Egan, of course, with him being out for the season, made him a no-brainer trade out. The rest were not as conclusive, but Toya and Carraz being the next most with 4 trade outs. Ponga with 3, down to 5% ownership. Now Fahu White went down 2 to 30% ownership by the experts. Leo Thompson lost 2 down to 5%. Hubner lost 2 down to 20%. Cleary lost 1 and kept the ownership of 80% of the experts. So you can see that you don't have to sell all your Origin players, and a lot of coaches, experts kept Cleary. Haas as well, 80% held. And Mitchell was low owned and one coach sold him. So I've put together this template data based on how the expert teams were looking heading into round 12. I've broken down by position and I've put it only the players over 25% owned, as those are the ones we should be targeting. Feel free to pause the video and see who the experts have favoured. The top 2 in each position are Clark and Tavanga at hooker, May and Tapani at mid, Hosking and Kautoga at edge, Savala and Cleary in the halves, Lucas and Tamale at centre, and Sharp and Drinky at the back. Tamale ownership hurt me this week because I sold him as a peaked asset and he went and got his biggest score of the season. And Hosking has proved disappointing, so it shows that even the experts can get it wrong. I've ranked the expert picks based on their percentage ownership, and you can see how many I own. I'm having a great season, and I think it is due to trying to follow in the experts' footsteps. Not entirely, but sometimes. I am one of only 3 coaches that own Jaden Campbell, and the only coach that owns Zach Docker-Clay, so I'm not afraid to go rogue. Campbell is going to be a target for most experts in the very near future, and ZDC was a player with upside that failed, just like Liam Henry, and a spot that I'll have to correct as he was dropped entirely last match. There are only 5 players in the top 25 that I don't own. Horse, who is not a top tier gun, Drinky, who I have plans to get, Hines, who hasn't shown me enough to warrant, Smith, who ended up being a great option that I missed, Tedesco, who I passed on just because of Origin fears, and Munster, who's had poor form and then Origin, so he was never an option. So from the template data, I created a template team. I had the predicted team last week, and it had 767 points. The actual team, based on the data, I had to drop Fogarty to get in Purdue just to make it under the salary cap that I set myself, which is to be under the average team value for the content creators. And with Fogarty being out, it didn't really affect anyway. From the expert template team, the players I don't own, the only one that I want to own, as mentioned, is Scott Drinkwater.